This is a DMB Society podcast.
I got a sister named Jane.
And this is the pod that Jane likes. Hey everybody, welcome back to the pod that Jane likes. This is Matt, and I am joined as always by Trisha, Sean, and Jeanette. And we are fresh off of a big weekend for DMB in Deer Creek. We are going to recap those shows, as well as a few others we haven't had the chance to talk about yet. We're also going to give our thoughts on the first half of the 2025 summer tour in our jam session. But before we get into all that, I want to take a quick moment to say, if you like what you're hearing, make sure to head to our website, podthatjanelikes.com, where you can read about us, listen, and buy some merch. We've got our Guilford tee, which is really last call for that right now because that's next week. And of course, our summer tour tee is up there as well. And you'll also find a link there where you can follow us on all of our social media platforms. Instagram and Facebook is where you'll find the most up-to-date videos, news, stats, and more. Don't forget TikTok and YouTube, where you can watch full episodes, which go live at the same time as our audio podcasts. While you're on these sites, also, if you can take a minute to write a review as well, it means so much to us, and it helps us get this podcast in front of more people. And as we've done in the past, we had a few new reviews this week, so I wanted to take a quick moment to read one of them because it's great to hear the feedback. This is from KMOG77. It's titled, "How Have I Missed This?" And it says, "I honestly don't know how I've missed this podcast. DMB fan since 95, started seeing shows in 98. It's amazing to be able to listen to others who love the band, other people's opinions, and listen to others' experiences. It's so great, and recommend to everyone I know who is a fan and follows the band." Well, welcome, KMOG77. Thank you so much for the review. We are happy to have you. And that was just really great to hear. We always love hearing from you guys. So
fellow 1998er.
I was going to say, one of those OGs. It's always nice to hear from them.
It is. And, without further ado, I think we should just get right into it, guys, right? We're fresh off of Deer Creek. We've got a couple of other shows that we want to talk about. So let's talk about all of the shows that we have not talked about yet in the opener.
Let's do it.
All right. So last time we left you, we had just discussed Chicago, which was a big weekend for the band. Some great shows were had in Chicago. And there was a little bit of a break for everybody after that. The band had the July 4th, I guess, holiday off, if you will. There were no shows July 4th weekend. And we picked things up at the Budweiser stage in Toronto, Canada. Toronto, actually, a place that's been on my bucket list to see DMB. It's a place that has gotten quite a few good shows over the years, and I've wanted to go north of the border to check off another country of seeing DMB. And those who made their way to this show were really in for a treat. This was a really excellent start to a show, I thought, guys. A little bit reminiscent of some of the earlier fest set lists like Jazz Fest, Love and Life, Boston Calling, where you had this opening run that included Ants, Best of What's Around, Walk Around the Moon, You Never Know, Lion or Grave, Spoon, and then the tour debut of Joyride, which was really cool. This really felt like, we were back there. It's almost like the band was like, because they had time off, they're like, these are going to be our anchor songs for the summer, and we want to just get right back into it with those. So Trisha, what was the buzz on the ground? Did you hear anything from north of the border for this show?
Well, you know what they say. Never miss a Tuesday show.
Never miss a Tuesday show.
In Toronto, Yeah.
It's actually becoming more and more of a fact.
It is. I think
really
it is. I mean, another banger of a Tuesday. I can't even believe this first 7 songs on this.
God.
I think people, even getting just Ants and Best of What's Around right off the bat, I think what I heard was just so much happiness around that. There's probably a stat of when that has happened or if it's ever happened before, but that is a really, really hot start to Toronto. And, we could go through this set, but even that drive in, drive out closer.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I don't know what the
Hot
stat
off
is
the
that.
heels. Hot off
Woo.
the only stat you need to know, right, is that hot off the heels of our last conversation, I believe it was yours truly who said that Drive In, Drive Out was criminally underplayed. And here we have it closing a show. We also did talk about how great the encores have been, people being kept on their toes. So having Drive In, Drive Out close a show was epic.
Yeah, and one of the things we talked about in that drive in, drive out discussion is the fact that this song is, in addition to being criminally underplayed, it is incredibly versatile. I think it can really appear anywhere. It could be mid-set, it can close a show, it can pop up in an encore. Here we see it popping up in an encore for the first time since 2013. So I think in addition to it being a song that a lot of people chase, that a lot of people love, that a lot of people are really happy about when they see it pop up in a set list, I think you get the double impact in the sense that it's truly a song that fits just about anywhere.
And can I add on to that, Sean? It famously opened a show, and it opened the James Brown show.
That's right.
In
Yep,
2001,
that is correct.
or 2002. So, I mean, it really can. It's so versatile; it can fit anywhere because it's so exciting. It doesn't matter where you hear it.
You know what? The one thing I heard from the On the Ground was that it was the best two-step they ever heard. So
I think we heard that last week too.
I think we also talked about that, about how there's always a buzz on the way out.
Always a buzz.
Show. Was that the greatest two-step ever?
When we stop hearing that is when we're in trouble.
That's true. That is
That's
true.
right.
But a hot way to close the set for sure.
For sure.
I think there's a lot to like in this Toronto show. I think that if you made the trip to Toronto, or if you're local to Toronto, you got a great show. I think you can make the argument that you got one of the better all around shows, especially of one night stands so far in this tour. I love an Ants opener. I know that we've had a few of them, I guess, going back to Guildford night 2 last year, but it just seems like such a fun way to kick off a show. You get that extended intro from Carter, then Jeff gets to show off his skills for a little while. And by the time the lyrics of that song hit, it just seems like everyone in the venue singing it. So I really like an Ants opener, and was really excited to see Joyride pop back up too.
Oh yeah.
Heck yeah.
I don't have one complaint about this show.
No.
Not even Jimmy.
No, not even Jimmy, because of Jimmy's placement.
It's good placement.
Yes.
Yes.
Like it's in such a
You
great
get the little cool down.
spot. Like I'm not ready for my sandwich yet. You know what I mean? Like I'm not ready for a break. So, and then you come out of it with Love Her Lay Down and Shake Me in 41. Like I have no notes, none.
It's good. It's good. I think we should also make sure we talk about the near liberation of Steady As We Go. 962 days, so it didn't quite make the official liberation list, but we're very, very close. We had a near close call previously as well, if you remember, earlier this summer. So that's interesting. And I thought that was important to note. I also, this is kind of maybe we'll talk about this when we jam about it a little bit more. I'm still waiting, guys. I'm still waiting for that big song to be liberated. If you look at what's been liberated so far, we have Dive In, which I said should barely even count as it just feels like it's been not that long. Thank You and Loving Wings. And that's it off the liberation list. Not that that's it, because those are, it's always great when a song gets liberated, but there's a lot of stuff on that list that I think would be a much bigger deal, like going back to like a couple of years ago when it was Bismarck and when it was Busted Stuff, those were really big liberations.
Yeah. We know what you're getting at. We know you want Kit Kat Jam. We know that's what you're.
We're saving it for Guildford. If anybody's listening, we'll be glad to accept Kit Kat Jam as the liberation.
Okay, so is it, for those that may not know, a liberation doesn't count if Dave and Tim played it?
Correct.
It still counts as a liberation?
Yeah, it's got to be full band.
Got to be
full band.
Yep.
Okay.
Got to be full band. Got to be 1,000 days since the last.
Yeah, me personally, I don't agree with that, but we go by D&B Almanac rules, so and I'm okay with that. But I think that, like, for example, that Busted Stuff and Dave and Tim a few years ago. I mean, it's been forever. So
Sure.
that felt like a liberation,
Mm-hmm.
you know, especially to the people that were there. But full band is where it's at.
I think it's a fair point, Matt. I think that it will be really interesting to see, depending upon when you're listening to this episode, some of the most anticipated stops of the summer are ahead of us, whether it be Richmond and SPAC and Guilford and Camden. These are really from the time that the summer tour dates got announced. This run that we are just on the brink of is kind of the run that a lot of people had circled on their calendars. So I think as it relates to Liberation's tour debuts, all of that, I think it'll be really interesting to see if any of those pop up with some of these really big, really important in the history of DMB, I guess, 2-night stands coming up, some really big time venues, big time cities as well.
Agreed. And you know, as we said last week, as we continue to say, you know, these encores continue to keep us on our toes. I know we talked about Drive In, Drive Out, but Windows gets its second E1 play of the year, which is I always love hearing Windows. We talked about how emotional the song is. I think it was last week, and you know, always love to see that there. So, you know, very unpredictable encore, which is you know, which is always great to see as we continue to go here. And after the band left Toronto, headed to Michigan, Clarkston, Michigan, and another really fun one-stop set, I thought. We had the return of Cry Freedom. We had the tour debut of Some Devil, Blackjack sticking around. This show felt really fun too. It was a very different vibe from the night before, but seemed to be really cool. Trisha, on the ground, any reports on Michigan?
Well, it's just funny. I mean, it didn't really change the show that much, but there was a rain delay. Slow moving thunderstorms went through that delayed opening the gates, and they came on stage around, after 8. So, I mean, I think the on the ground report is that it was another great show. They had a guest on the keytar coming back for Billy's. That looked like a lot of hype on the stage. From afar, I was like, this is one of these shows where I'm like, okay, this is a good show. But then something like Cry Freedom comes. And for me, that's enough to hold a whole show. That's how I feel about Cry Freedom. So it's like, well, that show is great. You get Cry Freedom. Awesome. I think one of the interesting conversation pieces I thought was Blackjack. If you listened to it or go back and listen to it, I think it was a little bit different. It was slower and jammier, and actually they messed up a lot, but it was a little bit of a butcher job. But the parts of it that were different sounded really cool, and I sort of liked the direction it was taking. And I think, just to piggyback on the conversations that we've had before about Blackjack, is like, it's still maybe forming live as we see it. Right. And so that was cool to hear something different, even though it was a little bit of a hack job.
I appreciate that. I think we discussed this either last week or the week before about how, they road test songs, and they, like, this song did come back out of nowhere, but maybe it's being, tested again in the studio, and maybe this is their way of seeing how we feel about it, which I kind of love. I mean,
yeah,
I like being.
It had right. It had a little bit of a darker vibe. It felt like to me. So,
right.
If you have a chance to go find that and go back and listen, you could see what I mean if you want to. But.
Yeah, and the second consecutive year with a Valdez Brantley guest spot at Pine Knob. He joined the band in 2024. He came out late in the set and sat in on Break Free and What Would You Say? And then fast forward to this year, back out on stage in guesting on stage for Word Up. And then he rejoined the band for the following song, Tripping Billy's. So yeah, fun little guest spot. I think that a kind of a new take, if you will, having a guest on Billy's, I think, is kind of a welcome thing the moment. I think that it was a good song selection for having a guest come back out. A song that I think benefits a little bit from kind of having a new perspective.
Also, it's the keytar. Like
And it's the guitar.
when do you ever get to see a keytar anymore? You know what I mean? So it's like,
It's
oh,
true.
cool, this is new. You know, like, yeah,
Well,
I mean, it's exciting.
I had a related question, which is this, and very similar to what we just asked about two-step, is this the best word up ever with the guitar? Right? It's so apropos to have a guitar with a song like Word
Yes.
Up. I think it might have been. Go back and take a look
hot
at it.
take.
There was a vibe. There was a vibe.
I love the vibe. I have a question for everybody. How do you feel about Funny the Way It Is sandwiched between Nancy's and Warehouse?
I think
You don't need that sandwich.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I think that little warehouse full to think run was welcomed.
Yeah.
That was a typical
Agreed.
Sean
It was like a
response.
breath of
Yeah.
fresh
Sean
air.
on this one. Yeah.
That sandwich.
Yeah, there was kind of a lot of that in this set, right? You have a fun opener with Nancy's. You go into Warehouse. I think that for the most part, the crowd is into Full to Think. You fall into Satellite. Mad Men's Eyes, regardless of what you think of it, if you've heard it a bunch, it's a song that DMB has as close to perfected as possible. So I think that kind of re-brings the energy back up. So I think that there was quite a bit of that early on in this set. I think that DMB found a way to kind of craft what they were looking to do with this particular set, and it works out in the end. But some interesting choices early.
I also wanted to touch on the fact that we were talking Cry Freedom. It's amazing to me that this song has not received more plays over the last several years, just based on how the world has been going and how we know Dave feels about that. And, it's a song about struggle, and it's a song about how, you should treat everybody equally. And it's amazing to me that it hasn't received more plays. So it's welcomed back with open arms, and I would accept it at every show if I was given it.
And every show.
Yeah, maybe you had that effect on Drive and Drive Out, and they played. So
that's right.
You heard it here first.
Yeah,
Cry
Freedom at every show. Cry Freedom
every show. Criminally underplayed. We want to hear it.
Yep. And also, go ahead, John.
The only thing I was going to add is it's back-to-back shows that we get a Joyride and a Cry Freedom. I think they're the songs that we have talked about it. I think a lot of people feel this way. They're so timely, unfortunately timely to when they were written and originally played, and also timely in 2025. In some ways things change, in some ways things don't change, but they both feel so timely and so perfectly placed with where we are with current events. Nice to see both of those back on back-to-back nights.
What I was going to say, and it goes with Sean's point, is one thing we're not going to be talking about today over these shows that we're talking about is Peace on Earth. It has not been played since before the break, which I think is so interesting. And it hasn't been replaced with, we were saying how it has sort of taken that Madman's Eyes spot where it's like everywhere. And it's still, well, at this point, could we say it's MIA? I don't know. We'll see what happens in Richmond, but it was just a point I wanted to make because I thought it was really interesting that it didn't get played.
It was definitely on my mind too, even with a 2-night stand coming up, which we'll talk about, not played. And I thought they were just hitting a high mark on it in Chicago. So I'm like, where'd it go? Don't take that away. Take Word Up away. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey, we love our Word Up.
We love Word
Up.
So this sets the stage for one of the big 2-night runs of the year, something that people look forward to, something that people can't stop talking about, and that is Deer Creek. I would say, Chicago aside, the first of the really big runs of venue-specific places that the band goes to and that people travel to in droves. You will remember that Deer Creek won the Pod the Jane Likes Venue Award for Best Lawn, and the pictures were looking awesome The vibes on the lawn were looking awesome over the weekend. So that is where we're at. We're going to Deer Creek, guys. And Trisha, I know you've had a lot of feedback on what happened in Deer Creek. So let's hear where things were at for night one.
Well, it was another scorcher, but the rain delay didn't happen till the next day, but it was a scorcher. I just want to this will make sense as I tell this story, but one of our friends and listeners met Dave earlier that day, and she had every show she goes to, she carries a big shotgun like pillowcase. It's big. It's not just a sign, and it says shotgun, and he signed it. And I think it's funny then that he put that red guitar on stage. If that were me, I would be thinking shotgun was coming. Like you just saw the pillowcase that said shotgun, and now your red guitar is on stage. And it just comes back to Dave being such a tease and such a troll. Like that is top troll behavior, in my opinion.
Really is.
I'm not saying it's connected, but I'm just like, idea of you opener. I mean, how rare is that?
Yeah.
I don't even know. Has that ever happened?
Yeah, it last happened back in 2019.
Okay.
In Tampa was the last time that it happened. But yeah, it's certainly
the only time
that it is rare. Yes, that was the only other performance. So it wasn't that long ago in the grand scheme of things, but it is only the second time ever that it's happened.
Right, and that song is old. We're talking like 20 years at this point, right?
Yeah, 2006. That song
yeah,
came
2006.
Yeah, but aside from our friend Jamie, I mean that sets all of us in a tizzy. I think when that red guitar is on display.
Oh, totally.
Yep. Well, you're thinking Squirm. You're thinking most likely it's going to be Squirm, but like, is there a shot at shotgun? And then,
especially if you've just shown him your sign,
right? Right.
Like you've literally had a conversation with him about this song.
Would
like,
you please play
hours ago
tonight?
Yeah.
And then he plays "Idea of You," which I wouldn't be mad at. Don't get me wrong. "Idea of You" is one of my absolute favorite songs. In fact, I was at the debut of it, which happened to be at Deer Creek in 2006. So for me, that felt very nostalgic. I was like super excited about that choice.
How many years ago was that? Do we know? Gosh,
19.
I don't know.
We said
19.
Yep.
2006.
Yeah, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was the last opening, the debut.
2006 was
so
when it
almost
debuted.
20 years.
Yeah, so 19
how many
years
podcasts
ago.
19 years
does it take to figure out how long ago? 2000.
Yeah, math.
I love it.
Nobody said we're mathematicians. We're podcasters. We're not.
And so, if you like what you're hearing, please make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram. No.
But I actually had a lot of other stuff to say about this show. If I could just
get into it
really quick.
Yeah.
Just a random thought. I took notes, but a random thought about Granny is that, I'm just really glad that the who never got changed.
Never.
Just feels like something that could easily get changed, but it doesn't. Anyway, random. But Don't Drink the Water had a really great slow intro. Like it was a very, very patient jam, busted stuff. It had a different intro with Rashawn and the trumpet.
Yes.
And Gravedigger had a long, slow intro. And it just made me think about how this is a jam band at its core. And I know you guys don't agree. You don't agree, but I'm telling you, there was something very patient about this show and the jams and the intros leading into some of these early songs. I was like, damn, this is what I want.
Yeah. Piggyback onto what Trisha's saying, they're leaning in. They're leaning into the little bit of the jam band reputation that they've kind of gotten, but not really. It's always been like this like gray area of if they're considered a jam band or not. And I feel like this was them leaning into that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Regardless of how differently I think on this, I love this opening run of this show.
Yeah.
This was really a blast. I thought that from the very beginning of the show, I think Idea of You is such a really fun opener. And I think that when you're at a show that gets an opener that's as rare as Idea of You, you can't help but have your mind roam as to what the rest of the night's going to look like. And this opening run, I think, just really followed it up and delivered. I love Granny. Don't Drink the Water. I completely agree with what you were saying, Trisha, from the sense that it was just a really fun intro. There have been a lot of fun Stefan intros to Don't Drink the Water recently. So
Mhm.
definitely credit deserved there. I like what they've been doing with Don't Drink the Water. I think the really ominous starts to Don't Drink the Water, like this one. And I know that he likes to play around with some Tool songs in the intros and tease some of that stuff. I just think it really adds to what the song's all about, the actual message of the song, what the song is at its core. And truthfully, I don't know how you can follow that up with anything that is much more well received than Busted Stuff. Not just Busted Stuff, but what I thought was a really well played Busted Stuff. So really fun way to kick off Deer Creek weekend.
Also, mid-set two-step. What?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and back to back with Typical is
Right.
like
Right.
just sublime. That is like what that would be it for me.
And
That
then
taking
and
that
then
away.
and then you go into Rapunzel, and I thought that was
And
it.
then yeah, I think that's all we could ask for, right? Like
Mhm.
we talk about wanting to be able to not know what's coming next, having things being really unpredictable. This ending of the show felt very unpredictable. Sometimes you know when things are coming to an end. You know, you can
Totally.
feel it. The performances are kind of screaming it out at you. This, it did not feel that way at all. It felt like they could potentially go on forever. And
Yeah.
it was a really, really strong ending of the show. There were multiple times where it felt like, okay, this could be the end of the main set.
Mhm.
And it wasn't. They kind of just kept that train rolling.
How about when Rye Whiskey came on and
Yeah.
it was like, what was that? But Buddy's keyboard failed. They had to like do a complete switch
Yeah.
out of his keyboard during the show. And he said something to this effect on air of like, I need to fill some time, and then sang Rye Whiskey, you know, in the middle of the set. So yeah, it was a really peculiar one. You could not,
Mhm.
you didn't know what the heck direction it was going, which is awesome. And then Watchtower, again, awesome. He broke 2 strings, had to get switched out, but he was really jamming hard on that to close that set.
Man plays hard. Always breaking strings.
Always
A lot
breaking
of,
strings.
especially these last few shows, for whatever reason.
Yeah, he's
It
playing
seems
hard.
like more,
Well, it's
Passion.
the
more
humidity.
normal.
Is it the humidity? Could it be
Oh,
the
could
humidity?
be.
I was
Could be
thinking
humidity.
passion.
I
Or
think,
that.
if I'm not mistaken, this Watchtower, he broke multiple strings during this Watchtower. So it
Uh-huh.
wasn't the standard one happened to pop off, but multiple did. And also to the
Go
point
ahead.
Matt was making earlier, how about the encore that we roll into here?
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
We have Here on Out, which is a tour debut, and then Best of What's Around as the closer for the first time in a long time as well. Really just inventive, and I'm going to say it again, kept us on our toes, which is all we're asking for.
Yeah.
And felt really great about that.
It was the first Best of What's Around encore performance since 2019, and the first ever Best of What's Around encore to close an encore. So the first time ever that Best of What's Around has
ended
been the
a show.
final song performed. Yeah.
Somebody commented on, I posted your DMB Society stats on my stories, and somebody actually messaged me and was like, this can't be true. I'm like, it's true. It's like, who would believe that? Right?
It's
Like, it's like,
quintessential opener, right? It's like
right.
we're so used to having it, and it has
Exactly.
opened so many shows, and it opens the album Under the Table and Dreaming.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
it's it always feels like I said last week when, with Grateful Dead, you've got set 1 song, set 2 songs. Like, this is for sure an opener as opposed to a closer.
Right.
And that's what
Love
we got.
that.
Yeah.
I love that mixing it up of things for sure.
One thing I was thinking about is he did dedicate Here on Out to Ian. And I'm
Mhm.
like, gosh, of course I didn't know Ian who passed away. But the songs that he always is bugging Dave to play was Here on Out, Loving Wings, Baby Blue. And I'm like, what a sweet man.
I
Like,
know.
these songs are like
He
very
was
sweet.
insane.
Yeah. And he's like
So
begging Dave to
true.
play these. So
Yeah.
that was really sweet to hear. And I'm like, oh, that Ian must have been such a sweet man.
Well, I have a question before we get on to night 2 here. And that is when I remember first going to shows long time ago, late 90s, early 2000s, if there was a 2-night stand, I always felt like night 2 on the whole was regularly the better show. I just
Mhm.
always felt
Like
like
if you had to choose,
if you had to choose, you're always
you're
choosing
choosing
night
night
2. Like
two.
if you go back
Agreed.
to MSG
Mhm.
with James Brown, I chose
Mhm.
night 1. I didn't go night 2, and I really lost out. And that's how it always used to be back in
Mhm.
the day. And now, and I don't know when it switched, but I really feel like
Hmm.
night 1 has been the stronger show
Mhm.
again on the whole, like for the last several years. And you go back and look at a lot of the big 2-night stands. I don't know, again, I don't know why, I don't know what it is, and I'm not saying that Deer Creek night 2 was not good. I'm just saying, I would, if you had put these 2 sets in front of me, I would have picked
Sure.
night 1,
Sure.
and I feel like I'm regularly making that decision
Yeah, I
on a
think
lot of these
that
shows.
at one point it switched into, you can't think of it as a night 1 and a night 2 anymore, but as a full weekend
Mhm.
and as a full experience. So you almost forcing you to go to both,
Right.
right? Like you said, yeah, there used to be a time when we were young and broke that we could only go to one. We didn't have a choice,
That's right.
And so if you chose night 2, unless for some logistical reason you couldn't do night 2.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
I now feel like it's something that you have to look as a full weekend experience or a 2-night stand experience, and not just one show anymore.
It's a great point. Great
Yep.
point.
Yeah, and I'm if we're going to get one great night of any 2-night stand, I'm certainly glad when it takes place on a Friday and it's a
Yeah.
Sirius XM broadcast.
100%.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
They
Which
have
could also
that.
have something to do with it, right? I mean, they
Absolutely.
know,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
you
Most
know.
of these
Yeah.
2-night runs are on the weekend, and night 1 is Sirius XM. So maybe that could be, if we go back and look at when the Friday Night Concert Series started, maybe that's when things took a turn. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
It'd be interesting to see.
Oh.
I don't know.
Although this night 2 has gotten some real high highs, but night 2 was definitely the time where there was a downpour and people got drenched. You have to remember, this is Deer Creek. There are people camping everywhere. This is a huge venue, a lot of people. It definitely was pouring cats and dogs. Pouring cats and dogs? Is that the
That's correct.
saying?
Yeah.
Raining cats and dogs?
Raining
Yeah.
cats and dogs, yeah.
Whichever one
And you
you
have to
wanna-
remember, yeah. And people were in line to get in when it started raining. And you have to understand that some people got dropped off with an Uber. It's not like they had places to go. People were
God,
seeking coverage in porta potties.
I didn't even
because-
think about that.
Yeah, like it
God.
wasn't just like, oh, people
Oh,
are
I can go back to
standing
my car. Yeah.
right. Oh, I want to get my spot. I need to stay in line. It's like, no, actually, they had nowhere to go. I mean, there was some cars that were saying, come sit in the car with us and like trying to seek shelter.
Yeah.
Some people had umbrellas. Some people didn't and were absolutely soaked down to their sneakers. And it was a horrific sight. And then I think after that, just to set the stage, did get a little chaotic because typically in a place like Deer Creek, you have a number of lines forming. You have your warehouse pit, then you have your warehouse, then you have a fast lane pass, then you have normal GA. And so people waited in their lines.
Warehouse lawn, right?
Warehouse lawn. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have people waiting in this downpour, and then it stops and they open the gates, and it was just a rush. Like there was people rush. I think it was just very chaotic. So I just wanted to set the stage that actually getting into the venue, I think if you were waiting in line, was a horrific scene, is what it certainly looked like. Yeah, no, we a moment of silence for all of you.
That's right. I want to silence all of you who got drenched on.
Oh gosh.
But the show started a little bit late, correct? Because of the downpour, just a little bit to give people enough time to get in. I think it stopped raining in plenty of time, but just to allow the huge numbers of people to get in there. I didn't realize, Trisha, when you were telling us that offline, how long of a line there is for just the lawn there, because you were saying that it's kind of tricky to get a good lawn spot. You don't really think about that. And I've never been to Deer Creek, so I didn't realize that. And I thought that was an interesting note. In addition, as you said, you have all these lines forming. You typically do have those lines forming in other venues, but those lines are not as beefy as this point.
And also, yes, there's people that are going in for the pit, and there's people
Yeah.
waiting in line for a good lawn spot, but there's also like the poster people and the merch
That's
people, right?
of
Like
course.
Oh
Yep.
my
they are
God, too
also
many
waiting in
lines. Right, you're right.
All these
But I
little
mean, just like the sheer amount of
sections,
people
yeah.
that would wait in line.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There is, everybody has different reasons. It's not always just to get into the
Right.
pit.
It's a great point.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Great point. So the show starts with minarets as an opener. Again, keeping us on our toes. That's what we're
Mhm.
asking for. A minarets opener is cool. We get song 3, JTR tour debut after
There's
the
your rain
torrential
song.
downpour. I'm sure that in addition to people talking about if the night before was the best 2-step ever, we also had discussions about whether
Will they
JTR
play
would be
JTR?
pro when it started to rain, as there always is. And we also get a Louisiana Bayou tour debut. Hard to believe that we're this far into the tour and this is the first time we're hearing Bayou.
True. Yeah.
But there you have it. And I love the end of the show. Crash, Last Stop, and then encore of Some Devil and What You Are is awesome. If you haven't watched the videos of the end of the Last Stop, it's definitely a vibe. Go check that out. It is what I could just go in and listen to Last Stop and leave, and I would be happy and filled up. And like that's I think how everybody felt, but they had just been there for an entire weekend of DMB. So just awesome. And so happy, as I've said before, that Last Stop is sticking around and is getting these regular plays. So the next move, Dave, if you're listening, is to move the Last Stop to an opener mid-set. We'll be happy with it wherever we can get it.
Mhm.
But that would be kind of cool if we're gonna just keep this train running. So
Do you think they would throw a Last Stop in mid set and make it 15 minutes long?
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
they
do.
have.
I do. Yeah.
It's
I
it's
guess-
actually the place that we've seen over the history of the song. Mid set is where we've seen the majority of the performances. If now you've got to go back in recent years, that has not been the case. In recent years, most of the Last Stop performances have been either in an encore or to close a main set. But if you go back to the heyday of the Last Stop, 1998 being the year that got the most performances, the overwhelming majority of them were mid-set.
Okay, well, the reason why I say this is because I don't want anybody to get an idea like, oh, play Last Stop and then cut it short.
No.
like you,
Oh,
right?
not
Like
what
that's
we're
what we
doing.
don't
No,
want.
no,
Not willing
no,
to sacrifice
we don't want
full
that.
version.
Yeah, we
Don't-
don't want that.
yes.
We need a time that can let them be patient at the end
Just
and go
to
in.
be clear. Just to be clear.
Yes, there was a year where the band was playing at Jones Beach and it started to downpour in the middle of the show, lightning. And, when you're on the ocean, you can't really, it's not very safe to be in that venue if there's lightning. So they wrapped up the show, made us go take shelter, and they wound up postponing the show until the next day. We all get in our cars. Somehow somebody gets their hands on a set list, and the next song that was supposed to be played was Last Stop.
Oh.
And we were like, are you kidding me? And then we were all like, well, now we all have to come back tomorrow because if that was on the set list tonight, like we're probably going to get it tomorrow. So
And did you?
at literally the last minute that I could have made it to that show, I got a babysitter and I jumped in that car and I headed to Jones Beach, and I got in my seat right before lights down, and they opened with Last Stop.
Great,
Nice.
great. Good.
However,
Glad there's a good ending there.
But I take that with a grain of salt because it was a truncated version of Last Stop.
Right. So the
That's
point
when
is,
I think that's
no
when it
truncating.
started. I think that's actually
Wow.
the first time it was and we were all like, wait,
Oh
what?
no.
What? Yeah, because it was so exhilarating that it opened because we were like, this is why we came back for this
love
moment,
it.
and then it was like,
then,
oh, yeah. So we no more of that, none of that. Moral of the story is none of that.
None of that. Right? Well, pod listener Sabrina did say, I know that you might not like Let's Dance or Hunger for the Great Light, but they were such good. Like the pit went nuts and we're dancing so hard. So that's the one thing, to circle back all the way to what you were saying about Deer Creek in the beginning, Matt. Like there's sometimes with Deer Creek that it's not sometimes, often,
Yeah,
every time, every
mostly,
year, Deer
most of the
Creek,
time.
it doesn't matter actually what they play. It's all about the vibes. It really
All
is. Like
about the
I don't say that about every venue, but Deer Creek has vibes. I don't know what to say. Like it just is different. There's a lot of
Mm.
people. The lawn's different. It's magical. I don't know. So maybe you too would also get down to hunger for
If
the
you were
great
at
light in
Deer
the
Creek,
pit. Yeah.
I don't know about that. There's
there's a limit,
that's
There's
Trisha.
a
yeah.
line.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
but what if One Sweet World comes after? Maybe that.
Great. I could see myself getting down to Louisiana Bayou. That's for sure. But
Hunger's
no.
where you hunger's
Yeah,
where you
hunger's
draw
where
the
you
line. Hunger is not where you're not getting down to hunger. Okay, we got it. Make a note.
How about as we wrap up these talking about these 4 shows, how about these 4 encores and what the final song was in all 4 of these encores, starting with Toronto, Drive In, Drive Out, So Right, Best of What's Around, What You Are. It's
Mm.
hard to ask for a whole lot more than that in
Nope.
terms of quality of songs in the catalog, in terms of people having no idea what's coming next. Just a little, hat tip and appreciation to how creative the ends of these encores have been.
It's almost like who cares what they played in the main set? You're still going home happy if you heard those 4
Right.
songs at the end of the night. One of those 4
I
songs.
heard What You Are close a Deer Creek weekend, I'd explode. Okay. I just really would. Come on, that's a good anytime action.
Hell yeah.
Sticks
Yeah,
out with that
excellent.
guitar.
Yep.
In an
But
encore
closing, but even extra a closer.
Right.
Yeah, please. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Pumped
Yeah.
after that.
I
Yeah.
think it's so interesting to me. The songs "What You Are" and "So Right" both come
Mm.
from Every Day
Mhm.
Mhm.
in such a tumultuous time in the history of the band. Just
Yep.
really quick, the Lillywhite sessions are abandoned. Dave goes to LA, meets with Glenn Ballard. They write all of Every Day in 1 week, and then the band flies out and they're handed their parts to play in the studio.
Mhm.
And you can imagine that there was, some people had some things to say about that. But I think that, outside of the other radio songs, and obviously Every Day is its own thing because of number 36, but I think that So Right and What You Are have such a punch live. People love them, and they've almost taken on a life of their own from a situation that was, less than ideal from the band back then. Which I just think it's an interesting point overall.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. I think that it's a pretty crazy dichotomy from where things were at when that album was released into how well received in a live setting a lot of those songs are. I think they're 2 of the best examples of that. I think that in a strange way, this album also ended up having a song like If I Had It All, for example, which is a chase song for a lot of people. There's definitely parts of that record that have you hit the nail on the head, Matt. Totally had a life of their own in a live setting. I'll go as far as saying songs like So Right and What You Are, if you happen to be at a show where you get either one of them, you're probably walking away with those 2 songs having left the biggest impression on you for that given night. I think that
Yeah.
they're that impactful when you experience those songs live.
Yeah, I read in an interview, or Dave mentioned this in an interview that he gave about how they recorded that album and then went on the road, and Glenn Ballard had come to see a show and actually was like, damn it, I wish we could go back in and re-record it, because I think that he probably realized like how much the rest of the band adds to the writing of these songs sometimes. So to think that too, like what it could have been, and because that's what it is now, right? Like if we just put all those songs in the same order on the album but live versions, I don't think it would have had the same reception as it had when it originally came out.
The other thing I think worth noting while we're talking about this exact topic is prior to the Everyday album being released, when DMB would put out a live record, most of those songs were road tested and kind of flushed out before they went into the studio to actually record them. This was the opposite of that.
Right.
So this was, not only was it a different writing style in the sense that Dave and Glenn did so much of the heavy lifting on their own, but it was also a complete 180 from what we were used to from a
Mhm.
fan's perspective, where we were getting so much of this stuff developed over the course of months and sometimes years. And they really perfected what they wanted it to be. This was the exact opposite of that.
Right. It just is testament to how much of a live band they actually are.
Mhm.
You know, that's
For
their
sure.
bread and butter.
And this is going to be a great conversation when we record our everyday album discussion,
Ooh, a little
because
preview.
there's so much there. You have two songs on that record in Mother Father, which has been played like 7 times, and Dreams of Our Fathers, which has never been played live. And it's pretty amazing that that is the case with a with a DMB record, that you just like that, those few plays in the seemingly
Hmm.
how many shows have they played since then, like, and you haven't had
Right.
either one of those selected. So anyways, we're getting off topic. I just wanted to make that
Nerd
point, because
alert! Nerd
what you are
alert!
what you
The
are is
nerd,
really ancient days. I know, we'll stop nerding.
nerds
We'll
went
stop
off.
nerding
Went
out.
off.
Well, and with that, we conclude the 21st show on the 35 show summer tour. More if you count Love and Life and Jazz Fest, which the band did because they put them on the back of the shirt. And we thought
That
we'd
means
take
they
a few,
count.
it means they count. That means we're going to take a few minutes here in our jam session to talk about our biggest takeaways. We're going to have like a check-in, a state of the union, if you will. I'm sure that there's going to be some scorching hot takes, as there always are, as well, on a few things. And so let's get into it as we jam about the first half of the summer tour of 2025. Okay, so we're at the halfway point, basically, of the 2025 summer tour. And before we dive into the music, guys, this has been something that I've wanted to do for a little bit, and we've talked about it, and then it sort of got shelved. And one time I forgot to talk about it, and I wanted to talk about it, but I want to touch briefly. This is going to be like a new segment, like 2 minutes of merch with Matt, where I
Ooh.
just really run off quickly about how, actually, this time I'm very impressed by the merch. I think the merch
Mhm.
is on a great level right now, and so I'm just going
Great,
to go. Maybe we'll see. We'll see. I'll talk to you after Guilford on that. Right now it's great status,
Okay.
but if Guilford gets its own shirt, great.
Okay.
So
Ah,
yeah.
okay.
Yep. Okay. So, first thing I want to talk about really quick, and you guys can feel free to jump into the Matt Merch Minute at any point in time, is that we have had great individual tour stop merch so far. All of the 2-night stands on the weekends have had individual shirts. Charleston had this great shirt that featured the Big Eyed Fish Company, which I thought was really, really cool. It was a fishing boat with a pelican on it. We just had all the stuff at Deer Creek, which I know is causes these merch lines to be insanely long because people want all this stuff and you can never get it later online. So that is great to see. There have been a ton of hats. People are kind of losing their
Yeah.
mind over these
Mhm.
upside down DMB fire dancer hats. It's like the new trend. It's these like cream colored hats with DMB and fire dancers, but everything's upside down. And I don't really know why everything's upside down, but everyone loves them. And they're going in and out of stock in all these different colors. I've seen posts of people saying, "Hey, I've got a blue one. Does anyone want to trade for a red one?" Like, people are just looking to complete the rainbow in some cases. It's like you have a DMB fire dancer upside down hat in every color. I thought that was really, really cool. You have this continuing partnership with Fairdy, I think is how you spell it. They're a really sort of grassroots, ear to the ground, giving back company that makes these really high quality clothing items. And there are these T-shirts that DMB has collabed with Fairdy to put out. I think the second year that they've been doing it. So those are available. There are also these pennants that are available for various tour stops, but also for the entire tour. Those have become really, really popular. People are, losing their mind over those. So really great stuff across the board. And then the thing that I am most excited about, and you guys know this because I won't shut up about it, is we've gotten our third collaboration with Elijah Funk, who is the guy who's behind the company Online Ceramics. And if you don't know Online Ceramics, you can go check them out. They make a lot of bootleg Dead and Company merch, as well as some other just kind of cool stuff. The style is kind of it's like as if somebody like was cutting things out of magazines and just like pasting them onto a shirt in a lot of cases, and like there's just like random references to random things and random areas. The first two shirts that Elijah Funk has done for DMB are there's an ants there's a big ant on a hoodie that's I think still available in the merch store. That's Elijah Funk, and then there's also a long sleeve tie dye that says Dave Matthews Band presents the Ocean and the Butterfly. It's like very loud, very busy, like stuff everywhere. They've done this third shirt, which is a cute little pig. I think that this is the first official band merch that has featured a pig. I've done extensive deep dives on this very subject. For some reason, the band like doesn't want to put anything else out with a pig, but this shirt is so cool. It is $75 at the merch stand, which I know sounds like a lot, but when you people pay for a foil piece of paper and hand over $150, it does not seem like
Right.
like it's
True.
that bad. So, and I've done that myself. Believe me, I've done that myself. So that's something that I'm really excited to see. And there's also this other shirt, which is kind of a mystery. It's this bonsai tree with a fire dancer in it. It is also $75. I don't think it's Elijah Funk. I haven't been able to find out who it is, but I'm going to try and do my best if I can when I see it at the merch stand next week in Guilford. I'm going to see if anybody knows any information. Okay. That's the end of the merch. The other thing I wanted to talk about is posters. What a great job DMB has been doing with posters. We have 19 different artists that have put posters out for these shows.
Wow.
Only a couple of repeats. These are regular customers like Jim Mazza, Ben Kwok, Todd Slater. And in most cases, when there are multiples, like Todd Slater, for example, one of the posters he put out was for the weekend run. So it's not an individual show, it's a weekend run poster, and then he's got an individual one separately. So this is superb, I think, from DMB, where in the past it was like 75% methane and you were lucky if you had another artist. And in this case, you have a lot of newcomers to the game as well. As I said, 19 poster artists over, what are we at? Like, what did I say? 21 shows plus Love and Life and Jazz Fest. Jazz Fest didn't have a poster, so call it 20, 19 over 20. So really that's awesome. Yeah. And I think that a lot of the stuff has been really creative as well. It's not just a fire dancer, like a stark image of a fire dancer or, the moon or whatever. There are a lot of really cool ones. Last week, the Deer Creek poster, I think, which was the highlight of all of the posters so far, is it's a really small guy sitting on a bench reading a paper, and he's got a coffee. This is by Bailey Race, who's done posters previously, and it's just really, really cool and unique.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So the it's like weeds or flowers or whatever it is. Everything's much bigger, and I just thought that was really, really a great poster image. And bravo to whoever's in charge of all of this, because we've gotten a lot of great stuff, and we're looking forward to a lot more as the tour rolls on. So that's all I wanted to say about all of that stuff. I just I think merch is for me at least, it's a big part of the whole experience. And I know for a lot of people, we were just talking about it in Deer Creek, people are lining up for the lawn, people are lining up for the Pippa, people are lining up for posters and for merch. And this Elijah Funk pig shirt that I'm talking about supposedly has not been available at every venue. So they've only pulled it out a few times, and it's becoming, it's kind of a collector's thing. So if you got one of those, awesome. That's so cool. And I hope that I'm able to score one next week in Guilford.
Yeah, they really stepped up the merch this year, and that kind of makes it hard for me to, maintain my New Year's resolution. So,
are we still doing that?
We gave up on you in February.
I didn't buy any Dave Matthews Band merch yet.
But have you been to any shows, Bethel?
Yeah, one show. Yeah, and I didn't buy anything.
Well, we'll see, because you have quite the run coming up. So
yeah, we'll see. Yeah. We'll check in at the end. I really enjoyed that Matt's Merch Minute.
I did
Matt's
too.
Merch Minute. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. 1 minute of
fun.
merch with Matt. I don't know what we're going to call it, but I think that the listeners would really enjoy this series too. Our poster episode is definitely one of our most popular episodes. So maybe we'll do little deeper dives. Maybe it's like Matt's merch 5-minute
Yeah.
segment.
I just wanted to give you like a top level thing. I
Yeah.
can overstay my welcome. So, but let's get on with talking, checking in, discussing the first half of this tour. Jeanette, let's start with you. What is your what's your big takeaway thus far?
Yeah, you guys actually touched a little bit on it earlier. I have found it very topical that Dave has been super verbal about his political stance and about his stance on current affairs right now, and not just our country, but the whole entire world, and where he stands on war and immigration and our administration and things of that nature. And so it is very apparent when he plays certain songs such as Cry Freedom. Like you guys said, it took a while for that to come out. Same thing with Joyride. I think Joyride is so topical for this time right now. But, then there's always your classics like Don't Drink the Water is so topical right now. And then even the other night, him doing This Land Is Your Land at the bridge rather than the original lyrics. What You Are, Last Stop. Even Windows, he changed the meaning of windows. So I think that is my biggest takeaway. He has been so verbal. He has made a statement almost every single night on tour.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know there's some controversy with this because I know a lot of people don't necessarily think that artists have the right to speak on their opinions, and that's not why you bought a ticket to the show. However, art is art. Art is political. Art will always be political. This is Dave's art. Even if you don't want him to give his speech, if you listen to the lyrics of these songs, he's already telling you how he feels. So that's my biggest takeaway. I do feel like we're not even in an election year, and this is a very, very political tour.
Yeah. Like you said, every night he's speaking on it, and he's actually speaking on like it's not always the same thing. It could be something very current that's happening too. Like he mentioned ICE in California, like that was very current. So I appreciate that too, Jeanette, that come here, have a reprieve, fill yourself up with whatever you need, have so much fun, but like don't turn a blind eye because this is what's going on in the world. And so if the speeches bother you, I would invite you to have a different take, which is that it might bother you, but many people, most people, I would say, are there because of fans of this band because of Dave's conviction from the very early days. So while it might bother you, it might actually give fuel. It might be fuel for other people. So,
and that's a great point. But not only that, it might bother someone, but he might actually change someone's mind. And if he has that platform to do so, why not do that? This is who he is. He comes from, he's an immigrant himself, born and raised in South Africa, and he fled the apartheid. So like Dave has not ever been silent on war or any sort of, as we know, he has campaigned before in the past. So I just think that his message, whether you stand on the same side he stands on, his message is, it's not us and them, it's us. It will always be us. It'll never be us versus them. So like, that's all of us. We all have to, even if you agree with him, you still have to understand that that's what his message is. It's us all together. It's not us against them. And that's what those songs mean.
Yeah. Well, over here on the pod that Jane likes, I'll speak for all of us. I'd like to nominate Dave Matthews for a Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, it seems like anybody can do it. So
apparently.
So that's my nomination.
Yes, same. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Boys.
Aye.
No, I didn't know that we actually had votes. I'm sorry.
We don't, but whatever.
Well, Trisha, do you want to go next since you've got the mic?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would say if you are going to see the Dave Matthews Band in 2025, whether it's your first show, your 100th show, or you haven't been in 10 years, you are showing up and you will get a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band. That's how I walk away and see this. I mean, I do think that they are elite. I think they're professional. I think that they are going to give their all on stage. Dave pours out all kinds of emotions on stage night after night. And I don't know. Something's different, feels different this year. I mean, 2024 was an incredible year. 2023 was too. We can name all of the years that have been incredible, but something feels so powerful about them being Hall of Famers. I feel like I'm seeing a Hall of Fame band. And if you go, I don't care what the set list is. We, of course, are so into this and we critique them and we can look at them and we analyze them. But really, truly, if you're going to a show, you're leaving pretty happy because they're a Hall of Fame band. They're not going to disappoint you at this point in their career. So that's my hot take. And I really think the next 8 shows are probably just going to continue to blow us out of the water. Yep. That's my hot take.
All right, I'm going to go next, Sean, and then I'll hand it over to you. So my biggest take here is that, and I think about this quote so often, more often than I'd like to admit, which was when Dave was asked about the fan base and how, selling out shows across the country. And, he said, we just have 35,000 fans. They just follow us everywhere we go. And I think all of those 35,000 people have an opinion on DMB and on what songs they like. And I think this has been the case for a couple of years, and I don't think it was the case before that. But I do think that for the last couple of years, Dave and the band have really settled into delivering for every person that is there. I think that, I was listening to an interview with another artist who said, well, there's the radio hits that, I need to incorporate for somebody who's just coming for the radio hits. And then, I like playing a couple songs. And so like, that's important to me. And, then there's like the diehards who just want to hear the deep tracks. And I think that if you look at every one of these shows and you think about what kind of fan could be coming in, like somebody who's just there to hear the radio hits, or somebody who doesn't care what's being played, or somebody who comes in and, like us, is chasing songs. I think that every show has had something unique for everybody. And again, I think, call it 5 or 6 years ago, I don't think we had that. And I really think that that's been a critical piece of the puzzle, and it just happens to coincide with Trisha's point that the band is now a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band, and I just think that it's been exceptional what they've been doing, being able to deliver that night after night. And I know that there's going to be set list complainers. I like to think of us on here not complaining about set lists, but rather discussing the set list,
just a discussion,
talking about our preferences and all of that. But we've had far less critiques, I think, as we've continued to do this because of that reason. And so I know that is a tremendously difficult thing night in and night out to be able to do that. And kudos to DMB for doing that.
Truth.
It almost feels like we're in the midst of a, 2.5 to 3 year run of really creative set list writing. I'm sure you can absolutely, over the course of that span, find a set list or two that maybe isn't to your liking. But it really does feel like beginning in 2023, something started to change. And 2023 led to 2024, which was more of that. 2025, it's just kind of all been stacking and building on one another. At least that's how it feels to me. It seems like the band has been in this vein of really creative set list writing for years at this point.
Is it a coincidence that this is the same amount of time that we've been around?
They saw Matt coming in being a curmudgeon. They're like, well, we have to stop this man. we can't make him be a curmudgeon. We can't have a curmudgeon.
Just an observation. I don't know.
Well, if that's the case, kill the king. Is anybody listening out there? Play it.
Kit Kat Jam.
Crazy easy.
Sean, was that your hot take?
That was not my hot take. I don't know if I necessarily have a hot take, but I do have, as we're looking at what this tour has been so far, I think one thing that I felt I wanted to bring attention to, and if you've been following along or if you have gone to any of these shows, I don't necessarily think it's some top secret thing that people don't know about, but I want to bring attention to the fact that there have been a lot of really great one night stands on this tour. I think we're entering into this part of the tour where we've been talking about it for quite some time now. This run's going to be so amazing. Now we're at that point. And there's no reason to think that these next few shows aren't going to be great. But I do want to bring attention to how many great one night stands we've had on this tour. Shows like Homedale, and Alpharetta, and Toronto. They all come to mind as having really incredible runs in them, if not a great show from start to finish. And Matt was talking a little bit earlier about the fact that over time it's kind of changed whether night one or night two was the stronger night of a multi-night stand. I think that's a great discussion. I think we all have our opinions on that, but I do think that there have been some really, really great one night stands. And I think it's worth bringing attention to. For so long, and I'm not saying that this isn't the case now, but for so long it was the 2 night stands that you really wanted to go after because you were going to get so much more than you could over the course of one night. That's still the case based on sheer numbers, of course. And the Gorge, of course, is a whole nother animal because you're getting 3 consecutive nights. But there have been some really top-notch one-night performances over the course of this tour, and I think they're worth bringing attention to and chatting about.
All right, 2026, blocking out every Tuesday in the summer.
Never miss a Tuesday show.
Never missing a Tuesday show. I mean, the ones that you mentioned, I believe, were all on a Tuesday. Maybe not. Is Alpharetta on a Tuesday?
So.
I think so. Yeah. Alpharetta, Toronto.
Alpharetta's the exception. Alpharetta was
it was Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Birmingham was the Tuesday.
Toronto.
Technicalities.
All right. PTO every Wednesday of the summer.
Early week shows. We're after the early week shows.
Yes.
Well, we were talking about this ginormous run that the band is embarking on. We're in the middle of it right now. We've just finished up these shows at Deer Creek. The band is heading to Richmond, Virginia for the first time. What is it, Sean? 30 plus years? How many exactly?
Decades, yeah.
3 decades since the last time the band played in Richmond. Then the regular trip to Saratoga Performing Arts Center, the Pod the Jane Likes best venue overall. And then we hit 2 pod favorite venues, Guilford and then Camden, before the big break. And then you've got the Dave solo shows in Montana, and then the lead up to the Gorge on the West Coast at the end of August. So we are here. We are ready for it. I can't wait for next week in Guilford. I hope to see some of you out there. And I am just so happy to be doing what we're doing and talking about this band, because they are on another level right now, as we always talk about. So if you have enjoyed today's episode, please review it. Give us a review on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts from. Rate it. And follow us on all of our social media, including Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and as I mentioned, YouTube. We release every episode on there, the video version, same time we release the audio version. So if that's how you like to consume your podcast, go check that out. Follow us there, subscribe, and that is always a fun time. So guys, this was great. We will have certainly a lot to talk about next time we get back together, and I can't wait for it.
Can't
Awesome.
wait.
See you on the road.
Hi,
See you out there.
everybody.